everyone. I'm your host, Ashley Krez, and thanks for joining us on It's All Millennial. Here we discuss important issues relating to a large segment of our population, better known as Generation Y. On today's show, we're discussing socially unconnected, and here with us to share their thoughts are Joel Brillert, president of Allivictus Canada, and Cheryl Millington, owner of Tutor Mississauga. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks,
you.
Ashley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, social media, being connected, you know, we really are in the area of being connected virtually, being connected socially through all of these resources, right? Where, you know, a lot of millennials grew up with ICQ, MSN, Facebook, Twitter, you know, all these different places and resources to communicate and to share information. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to your thoughts. Now, you know, proponents of social media have said that, you know, these resources are there to help promote, to learn. We have access to information much faster than other generations. And then, you know, there's the other side, right? The opponents of social media say that, you know, perhaps social media is preventing face-to-face communication, you know, interacting or sort of decreasing our social skills. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, personally, I feel that while we are much more connected than we were before, it's only in the convenience. I think that we're equally as connected. We always had different social experiences available to us, but before it was like the playground and the corner store, and now it's you know, Facebook or a chat room or a forum.
Sure.
So as much as it's growing, I'm not sure that it's really changed too much.
I think it has, though, yeah. I think it has changed, you know, in the sense that I think what I see now is that we're always connected. You know, back in the day, you left the playroom, you left your school, you left your friend's house, you hung up the phone. So I think now what I see is that you're always connected, and there is a sense that if you don't respond to something in whatever is deemed to be the appropriate period of time, you get, like, you know, pings and dings and, you know, I haven't heard from you, what's going on and where are you? Yeah. And I think it really changes how we live now and who our contacts are and how we interact with them. And, you know, while I think it's fantastic, but the nature of the social connections we have has changed so dramatically, I would say.
This is true, right? And when I see you face to face, I can see your pleasure, I can see the discontent versus, you know, behind the walls of the chat room or behind the walls of Facebook or what have you, right? What happens then? Well, we miss those cues, I guess, right?
Right,
it's,
exactly.
Sort of different social interaction.
We don't have the niceties of language anymore.
Yes.
So we don't do, hi, how are you? Fine, how are you? And then maybe finally we'll get to the ask that we're hoping, you know, can you do something for me? Whatever it is. And now I think we just full steam ahead and we just jump right into something. And, you know, when you have to communicate in 140 characters, you really don't have, you know, a lot of time to do that, you know, and to massage relationships as much as we did previously.
So in business and personal, right, there's so many differences with social media. You know, as the business owner, right, both of you really, but, you know, Joel, what do you find with social media in that regard?
Well, to be honest, I mean, it's helped us target the way that we advertise to our customers. So rather than just doing 10,000 mailouts to every home in a small town, we can go and especially with Facebook, we can find people by their interests or their demographics and target them directly. So in there it's a plus, but after that, once we've sent that first communication, as Cheryl was saying, it's a pretty hollow communication. I mean, we can target it more than we used to by saying, hi Cheryl, you might be interested in this product. But after that, there's really not a way to create any sort of tangible, real connection. And you know, 10 years ago, when we used to do, you know, we called it guerrilla marketing, but go to the stores or go to the beaches or the street teams and go and introduce ourselves to people and shake someone's hand. And it was so much more effective, but very, very limited. And now we've got this big net we can cast, but it's really hard to create any sort of tangible relationships with those people. So it's almost like we've gone from one side all the way to the other side of the scale.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that I see, though, is that you have two brands now. You have your corporate brand or your business brand, and you also have your personal brand, because now people can Google your name, not just your company's name. So I see that for people in business, there's more pressure now to really pay attention to what's out there, whether you put it out there or whether someone else is tagging you in the drunken stupor photos or whatever it may be. So you really have to be very, very careful. You may present a certain image to your customers, but if they Google your name and they see your Facebook photos via your friends, what might they think about you?
Yeah, you're definitely out there more than you were before. But in a sense, that's great. I mean, it creates transparency. Like, one of the guys that's amazing at social networking is Richard Branson. But he puts his entire name behind his company, and he's incredibly transparent.
Right.
Pros and cons. I'm sure he has a team of people making sure those drunken stupor photos don't show up. But you also feel like you're getting to know the brand more, rather than just the logo or just the airplane or just whatever other products he's got. You actually know, you feel like you have a sense of who's behind it and what they stand for.
Well, recently I was looking for a physiotherapist, and so of course you Google, physiotherapist in the city you live, and up pops a number of names, and so I started to look at their websites, and in some cases they had blogs and Twitter and so on, and I realized that I use that as a way to narrow my search as well too. I chose someone who was more comfortable, that I thought was more comfortable with what I wanted, and had a particular brand that I thought, okay, I could live with this person, as opposed to those who probably were fantastic, but based on perhaps some of the things that they shared in their blog, I thought, I'm not so sure I want to have a physiotherapist talking to me about the benefits of juicing, for example. So while that may have been fantastic for that person, it wasn't a good fit for me. So it is.
Sorry to cut you. It's such good points. We're having such great interactions and conversations about social media. Stay tuned after the break when we talk more about social media, pros and cons. Keep watching. Welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking about the pros and cons of social media. Here with us again, Joel Brillert and Cheryl Millington. Welcome. So, social media, you know, the pros and cons of using it in your life, in your business. You know, another thought I was having, the advantages or disadvantages of social media and being connected. You know, maybe we'll start with the plus there, the advantages, right?
Sure, sure. I find one of the major advantages to being connected is it frees you up to work in wherever and whenever you need to. I mean, with social media, it's all around it's global. It's all around the world. So it's impossible to expect that the 9-to-5 time workspace is going to work for anybody anymore. So by being that connected, I can reply to somebody, whether it's a Facebook message or an email, or I mean, now we're really on to Google as well at work, and so it frees me up to do that and to answer anybody's questions. And because one of the things about social media I find is everybody wants to feel like they're being noticed, or they're putting their opinion out there and they want to be validated. So by being able to respond to them on behalf of a company in a forum where lots of other people will see that response, I think not only are we giving them a bit of validation, but it's also timely. And you know, in my case, you can work from wherever you like.
And you know what? I think that's an important point regarding millennials or regarding Generation Y. Is that, you know, a lot of us really want that freedom that comes with not living in that 9-to-5 world, right? Where, you know, yeah, again, the freedom of being able to be where you want to be on a beach somewhere, responding to an email, right? Right. So I guess that helps.
But that means it's 24/7.
Hey, there you go.
Right?
Absolutely.
And depending on who you are and you know what your personal life is like, that you know it's very difficult. I think at times to have that work-life balance. And you know, just recently. Google CEO, I believe, has been calling for like a shorter work week, and it's that tension, I think, that some of us feel, that being connected like this, it means that we are working all the time, and yes, it is global and it does a lot of great things, but on your personal life, how often have you been to dinner, for example, and you see like the entire family are on a device of some sort? So yes, they're connecting out, but you know, in some cases they're not necessarily connecting in.
That part there, the socialization, you know, is something that that is important. I mean, we started off the show by saying that, you know, we are connected more in some regard, excuse me, but just those social skills, as we were talking about, the body language, or you know, that interaction, that we are social creatures, right? So we always want more of it. So those are the, you know, some advantages. Other disadvantages, you know, social media. What do you think?
Well, I suppose that for our generation, we grew up without social media. So in my opinion, social media has always been something like a little bit of an add-on. And the way I conduct myself in a social setting, like in a typical day, is maybe not indicative of how I would conduct myself online. But what about the generation that's growing up now, that they were sort of born into or born onto the social platform? You know, when I say something like, oh, I would only conduct myself on Facebook the way I would do in person, they don't really have any thing to draw on, no experience of no like playground powwows.
Yeah. I think also for companies, you know, back in the day when I had a complaint about a particular company, I would call and I would write a letter. Now I could post something on their Facebook page and the whole world could see it instantly before they've had a chance to respond. Or I can tweet something. And again, the whole world can see it instantly. And the interaction between, say, me as a unhappy customer and that company plays out in real life for everyone. And I think in some cases, as a business person, that's really scary, because you were able to perhaps massage that person. I understand, I will get back to you tomorrow. Now, even saying that online just seems like, what?
Which is true, but on the flip side, some people leave us great reviews online. And unlike before, where you just had an Amazon black and white 100 characters or 100 words that meant nothing to anybody else. Now someone's attached their sort of online credibility to the review they've just given, whether it's a good or bad review.
And I've seen companies use it to their advantage as well too. A while ago I had a tweet just to my little friends about, you know, this was the fifth day in a row that I was, getting dinner from a particular place. They picked up on that. There was no hashtag, there was nothing, and they picked up on that, and they retweeted it. So even being able to search for their names in tweets and on Facebook and stuff, I think, is really helpful as well.
Definitely a lot more availability of information, and it's about just choosing what you're putting out there, what you're not putting out there. But you brought up an interesting point, Joel, about although we're Gen Y, we did grow up, yes, with the internet and yes, with social media, sort of later on in our our growth, our development. There are other generations now where they're exposed to it. I mean, that's all they all they have, right? But I guess back in the day we had Game Boy and Nintendo as well, so different resources, not as connected as it was, right?
Oh, I remember not even having cell phones. You used to call your friend on their home line and ask, "Hi, is Ashley there? We'd like to play."
Yeah. But even when you think of Game Boy and Nintendo, now you think of PlayStation and Xbox, where you can play with people all over the world. We never could have envisioned that when you sat at home with your little thing, and exactly, and maybe your friend from school, maybe the neighbor played with you, and that was it. That was the extent of your interaction with that game. Now you can have friends qualified from all over the world that you can play a game that you enjoy with.
Sorry, one question for you guys. So is social media, we're good? We're sticking with it?
I think we have no choice.
It's here.
Yeah, it's here, and I think that we just have to learn, like everything else, there's a balance.
Absolutely.
Right? And we just have to learn what is that balance and what is your comfort zone and what you're comfortable with, and learn, unfortunately, in some ways you get what you pay for, so it's all free. And we are at their mercy, and we are we're there for them to make money, and they're selling us and the information they gather from us to advertisers. So it's being aware of that and coming up with what you're comfortable with, I would say.
Great point, Cheryl. Thank you. Keep watching. When we come back, we'll keep talking about social media. Welcome back to It's All Millennial. We are here today talking about social media, the pros, the cons, the benefits. So, team, social media, right? We're here on our last segment talking about how social media has improved our lives potentially. Joel, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's given me a great way that I can connect with both friends and family. So that's helpful. I mean, being that we're Canadian, we're mostly from all over the world. So it's good to be able to connect back with our family in Germany or anywhere else they happen to be. It's also a fantastic way, I think, to go through and not just to share your experience with other people, but sort of to see how you've impacted their lives as well. So by looking at other people's timelines, it's interesting sometimes to see exactly what experiences they've been through, and maybe you can glean some ideas from that. It's sort of like sitting around the campfire, but we can do it anytime we like.
That's an interesting point, right? It's more available information, but of keeping in touch. Right?
Yeah,
keeping in touch in other ways, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
Do you see any?
Well, certainly for me, on a personal level, I was able to connect with my very, very extended family and used Facebook to organize a family reunion about 1.5 years ago. I don't think it would have been possible, quite frankly, or as effective as it was. So truly it has been amazing in terms of staying connected. As you said, we have relatives from all over the world, and it's nice to be able to connect with them. And also you see how they live. You see their pictures and their videos, and who's celebrating a birthday. And I also think of now social events are organized on Facebook. If you weren't on Facebook, quite frankly, there are so many things you would not be able to go to because this is a generation that is now organizing social events on Facebook, and they put it out there, and I think you assume that everyone who needs to know is on Facebook or something, and so if you're not on it, I think eventually, if you're not already, you'll be excluded from so many social events as well too.
Increased opportunities for events, for seeing people around the world. Other benefits, It's one of those things, right, where it's in our back pockets, it's there, we're connected, we're, tweeting or texting messages.
And I think for business people as well too, you're able to collaborate with people from all over the world, not just, so if you think of the water cooler conversations we used to have back in the day, now that is, you have the opportunity to collaborate with anyone at anywhere, anytime, and we've seen, for example, Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut, how he used Twitter so effectively to educate and entertain, and many of us who would probably not have been inspired by space and NASA and all of those sort of geek-like things, he made it very personal and accessible to all of us as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought back the water cooler statement there of social media, and social media in schools and for work. I guess from the employee or the student perspective, right, where there's students in schools connected, feeling the urge to tell their friends, what they're learning or what they're, thinking about for dinner, or that event that they want to go to. Is this good? Is this bad? I mean,
well, I think if we just all remember that once you post it, then it's public.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think that a lot of fellow business owners, and perhaps even maybe your students, might not remember, is that once they've posted it online, then that's it. Then it's live. So as long as we keep that in mind, then I think, and again, it comes back to us being maybe slightly older than the newer generation, but just remembering to conduct yourself in the same way you would in a typical, or what's typical for us, social setting. Don't say anything you wouldn't say to someone in person, and you shouldn't have anything to worry about what goes online. But unfortunately, I do see that trip up a lot of you know, my friends and family.
And one of the things that I remember my mom telling me, you know, if sticks and stones don't break your bones, you know, words will, you know, well,
Exactly. You know, that
is she so wrong, right? Because
Yeah.
words do hurt.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore it anymore. And there is no filter sometimes, it seems. If you think it, you post it. And unfortunately, I think we see that there is a consequence sometimes to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a risk per se, you know, as you were saying with sticks and stones, and you know, we've talked earlier about the social interactions of reading body language. You know, when we're behind, you know, you're behind the wall, there's that, you know, chance of saying things that you might not normally say. But you know, as Joel, as you've shared, being mindful of your social skills, right?
Yeah,
of your words and
just
respecting.
that whether it's your computer or your phone, it's still just a small box with a battery and a screen, and you're just making sparks. And
Yeah.
it's not an actual social interaction, you know, as we're used to, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. So privacy, information, you know, it's, you know, another thing too, right? Where, you know, as we've said, our information is out there. It's more private, but you know, just that tip of remembering, hey, what we post is public, right?
Yeah,
So.
and you know, I mean, I think that we share so many things all the time. It's just now we're doing it all in one space. So as much as Facebook seems like an invasion of privacy, I mean, really just appearing on a television show like this, or posting a
We're out
classified
there,
ad
aren't
in the
we?
newspaper.
Yep, we're out
all,
there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all an invasion of privacy, but I agree that Facebook is makes it easier. But
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Joel, and to Cheryl. Keep watching It's All Millennial, and on our next show we'll be talking more about personal leadership and yeah, Millennials Leading 2014. Keep watching.